I feel like this program's created a little bit of a moral crisis for me. When I was thinking about this program for the first time, before I even made anything, I was just considering it. I'm going to be creating these figures that can move around. They have what appears like self-agency, and I'm going to release them from the top of the screen, and they're going to fall. And when they hit the ground, they're going to fly to pieces. Their arms are going to fly off, their legs are going to fly off, head, body, just like you see here. And as I was thinking about it, I'm like, well, that's pretty violent. Should I do something like that? I mean, what's that say about me? Like on a subconscious level, maybe thinking about this in Freudian terms. And the more I thought about it, I got to thinking about other instances where I've had this kind of sympathetic appeal toward computer code, I guess you can say. Because when you think about it in a very real way, this is a machine. It's electromechanical machine that bits are moving around in a certain very mechanical way, and it's being displayed on the screen in a sort of mechanical way. Even though the parts of that machine are electrons, it's still the movement of parts and pieces, kind of like cogs and wheels. So on a fundamental level, this is just a machine. It's not alive, it's not being hurt. In fact, it's created to do this, so it's fulfilling its purpose in the universe. So to this object, if it had some kind of free will or self-agency or mentality, I would imagine that as it falls, it's going, hey, look at me, wee, and then it hits the ground and it does what it does, and then it is made whole again, and it's happy and does it again and again for eternity, never getting sad. So if you think about it that way, it's not violent at all. And when I created the program, I wanted to make sure to remove as much violent imagery from it as possible. So I'm using disarming colors. They're not realistic looking flesh tones. They're more playful, like circus colors. And then when they hit the ground, it kind of looks like confetti. So it's not gory, it's not gross, it looks fun. And if you put that sympathetic, that sentiment onto it, then it starts to take over the darkness, and the violent tones start to bleed through. But I think that's just a subjective thing. That's a place where people go. We're primed to do it, so it's natural to do so. So you have to be willing to switch it the other way. So if I change the imagery, still using the disarming colors, but then you see at the bottom, it's red, and red is symbolic of blood. But not all red things are bloody, and when our brain goes to, you're putting all these things together, and when you think of it from the intent of the artist, you're wondering, these aren't coincidental, they're intentional, so it must be the intent of the artist to take this imagery in as being violent. Especially when you use the blood colors. I mean, it's a little bit hard to step away from that as an intention. But if you're approaching it from a deeper level as an artist, you're testing the viewer's sensibility and their willingness to see beyond that instinctual need, that cued need to view this symbolism as violence. You have to work harder, and maybe you can call it being delusional or some kind of rationalization, but in the end, no one's being hurt, so you're free to rationalize. And why wouldn't you? So push yourself to see beyond the immediate reaction, and try to perceive this as being something it just is what it is. It's a machine. These objects that look like figures are falling, and then they produce this effect when they reach a certain state. So just something to think about, something I think about as an artist. I put a lot of depth into my work, even though it may not appear that way. So usually if you see something that I have taken the time to put up on YouTube, there's layers to it. There's a lot more to it than meets the eye, and it works on both planes, and it's not insulting that way. So I hope you enjoy this episode and this look into how I work as an artist, and even as a procedural artist. I can't escape that mentality of putting more into my work than what meets the eye.